I guess I didn't even need to do that, did I? Oh, well. Okay, we are live. Got to let it breathe and connect the Facebooks. It's kind of been fun. 3 nights in a row, hopping on the mic. It feels like me, was it last week? Like 4 nights, 5 nights? I don't know. It all blurs together once you get cooking. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, there have been some hideous takes on the interwebs today. Pardon me. We're going to get into it, but what's his name? Seth
Walder,
ESPN. You got on one hand Sean Payton predicting Bo Nix going to be a superstar within the next couple years. Walder, he's predicting he won't even be a starter.
LOL, LMAO even, Chad. This was the bold prediction by Seth Walder in an otherwise kind of a cushy Broncos story where, he praised, or the ESPN staff praised the Broncos, and then in comes Seth Walder. This is the bold prediction. Nix will lose his starting job during the 2027 season, which will be his last as a Bronco. There is optimism around him now, but there's reason to be skeptical in the long term. As a rookie, his rushing led him to be decent efficiency-wise, but he ranked 28th in completion percentage over expectation and 22nd in yards per dropback, despite playing behind a top-tier offensive line. The roster around him is great now, but it won't always be, end quote. And here's really quickly my instant takeaway, Chad. The 2024 version of ESPN said that Bo Nix won't succeed because the Broncos roster is not good enough. Now the 2025 iteration is saying Bo Nix won't succeed because the roster is too good. I don't even know what to say anymore, honestly.
Yeah, man. It's like, get your story straight, numbnuts. And overreact much. Now, Zach, does this, I get it. He's just throwing a bold prediction out there because in this format of this article, each little section, because it's what they call it, a future power ranking. And each section has a little format to put in a bold prediction. And he just decided, heck, I'm going to make some waves and just blah. Here's a completely meaningless prediction. But my question to you, Zach, is if Bo Nix and the starters don't kind of turn in a lackluster preseason game one, do you think that's a bold prediction he makes in his column for whatever Monday?
Probably, because it seemed like, Chad, these prognosticators, if you want to call them that, they have a bone to pick with Bo no matter what. And that's why I said if he can walk on water, the critics would say, well, he couldn't swim. If he wins 3 Super Bowls in a row, they'll say, well, the Broncos won it in spite of Bo Nix, not because of Bo Nix. This is what we heard with him in college, when the Broncos drafted him. Even after a playoff 10-win season, they are not going to come off that narrative, Chad, no matter what. And it's pretty sickening.
It's getting old, boys and girls. Papa Bear, what's going on, dude? So good to see you. How you doing tonight? He says, good evening, Broncos country. 13-4 plus. What is ESPN anyway? They're seldom right. Buck 'em ×3. Yeah, dude. I mean, they're what do they call themselves? The worldwide leader in sports? I don't know. With takes like that, you got to wonder. So good to see you. Thank you, Papa Bear. Sam Bam also jumping in a couple nights in a row. Love it, dude. Great to see you again tonight, my brother. He says, hi, guys. We're on to week 2 of the preseason against the Cardinals. How much do you think the first team plays on Saturday? Most of the first half? Go Broncos. Zach, this is now, pardon me, the second game is now kind of the dress rehearsal game for teams. Not every single team approaches it the same way. But what do you expect to see? I'll pull up a few stats here in a second, but what's your answer for Sam?
I wish, and thank you so much, Sam, as always, for kicking off the podcast with your generosity. I wish I can remember how the starters played in the second game last year, Chad, but I would assume, Sam, you're going to see a little more. Sean Payton said it was average to below average, what the offense and defense, how they performed against the Niners. So I think they want to rectify some of those issues, the penalties, the drop passes, some of the clunkier stuff they're going to try to work out. So I would assume they're going to play into the second quarter, and we have to hope with an extended playing time, no injuries, please.
No doubt. Pardon me, man. Frog in my throat tonight. So as I pulled up the game log from last year's second game of the preseason, it all came flooding back. So Stidham started the first game. Remember, it was an open competition. Game 2, the dress rehearsal, unsurprisingly, was the game Bo started. And then game 3, Zach Wilson started. So Peyton could present it as each one of you got to start a game. Yeah. So the starters, to answer the question, last year, they basically played about 20 snaps, which is pretty dang close to what they did on Saturday night in San Francisco area. I think they played 19 a few days ago. So obviously it's a little bit different because now it's a fully established quarterback. But I would guess you'll see him play through the second quarter. So depending on how many snaps that is, depends on how game flow, and really honestly too, Zach, how well they do. But I would expect you can be confident in quarter 1, quarter 2, and then you won't see Bo again until the Tennessee game.
That's a really good point. If they come out and firing on all cylinders, they have 2 drives that are touchdowns, you don't want to really see any more from Bo. You might want to just rest him and go into week 1. But if they have the pressure on Bo, the offensive line issues, the drops, the penalties that Sean Payton talked about, I still feel like, Chad, they want to get that bad taste out of their mouths from the Niners blowout victory.
We have the Duchess jumping in from the top rope on Super Chat. Awesome to see you tonight. Michaela, we love you. This is something interesting you'll like to hear. Pardon me. You'll like to hear this, Michaela. So I was talking to today, I ran into a fan of the show. All right. And this fan of the show was telling me how much they love the podcast and how they listen every day. If they're not able to watch live, they at least listen every day. They're not able to participate on Super Chat. They've never done that before. But when they listen, they feel like they know these people. He even used your name, Michaela. He goes, I feel like I know the Duchess and this and that and the other. It's like such a cool community that you guys have fostered, which I thought was kind of cool to hear. I'm like, that's what we want. How we want people to feel. So anyway, really cool. Appreciate you, Michaela. She says, what can I say though? Haters are going to hate. I believe.
As you should, Michaela. Thank you so much for your generosity, the Duchess, gracing us with your presence as you always do. And I'll say this again, considering where you were about 18 months ago with the Broncos quarterback situation, so down in the dumps and bereft of hope, and as you should have been, it's so great to see you now optimistic and cheerful and Bo leaving in the Broncos.
Trying to tweak my background. There we go. That's about as good as I'm going to get it for now, I think. Actually, that's not bad. It's none of the fizzies. Yeah, Michaela, love you, appreciate you, and you've got fans out there. That's for sure. Ronk, what's up, dude? Great to see you tonight. Good evening, Chad and Zach on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Go Bo Broncos. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to see Scott saying stream quality tonight is 10x better. Normally, I wouldn't just repeat that, but in back-to-back nights, we were having some significant problems, so that's good to hear. But Zach, I'm not seeing as much knee-jerking. I think Broncos fans have kind of internalized it and finally kind of went, okay, yeah, it's not the end of the world. It was a preseason game. Do the starters really give it 100% in the preseason anyway when they're on the field, et cetera, et cetera? How are you feeling now 3 days removed?
It's like you like to say all the time in the gut reactions. What are we doing? We're working out the hormones. And being a fan is being fanatical. It's what fan stands for. And that's a very emotional time right after a game. We waited months and months and months for the Broncos to come back and play real life football. We heard Sean Payton make Super Bowl proclamations, Bo being a top 5 quarterback. And it didn't really align with what we saw from the starting units, Chad, all of the hype and the expectations. And I understand that from a fan's point of view. That's why a couple days later, the hormones have settled down and people can think with logic and not emotion.
We got Gene William jumping in. Good to see you, bro. What's up, boys? Good to see y'all again. He says, seeing people doubt Bo again makes me happy. Love having a chip on our shoulder. I agree. Like, I would prefer people to still be hating and doubting, and because that's a form, Zach, of underestimating. That's a form of sleeping, right? So like, let that happen. Let Bo and the Broncos fly under the radar, pop up, and just punch people in the mouth.
I still think they're better as underdogs. Even coming off a 10-win season, playoff expectations, having your franchise quarterback, if you keep dissing them and keep hating on them, that will fuel the Broncos. We both know Sean Payton reads the press clippings, shot all the blogs. We know that Bo Nix is aware of what's being said about him. So yeah, let him hate.
Exactly, Roger. Let him hate. Ralph's jumping in to say, both boys talked to my priests last night. That's right. That's right. I was too busy feeding them. That's awesome, dude. My bold prediction, what was it? Some barbecue? You're doing like Sunday night family dinner probably, so maybe like smoking a brisket, something like that. My bold prediction, he says, is Bo passes for 4,000 yards this year, goes to the Ring of Fame one day. Also, when did we start practicing against every team in the preseason? Well, I don't think we're doing it. Are we doing it against the Cardinals?
Yep, there's a joint practice Thursday.
That's right. What about game 3?
The Saints game? I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't think so. But I get your point, Ralph. Yeah, kind of a new phenomenon. But the thing is, you want to see it because it provides, yes, the intensity goes up a little bit. And so it creates the possibility for injuries more, like what happened with Matt Henningsen in the joint practice. Zach, you know that whole story. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, you're building the callus for the regular season, and Sean Payton just sings the praises of how helpful all these reps are going against someone else. After these players, after a certain point, they just start kind of shutting it down. They start kind of turning it off, and they're going through the motions. Not exactly, but you know what I'm saying, when they're going against the same guys that are on their team every single day, and you start building up days of that in training camp that comes on the heels of months of the offseason. It's so much more helpful and informative and edifying for the team to practice and play against others. So it is interesting, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, a lot of coaches, Sean Payton included, will tell you that joint practices have more value than the actual preseason games. So there's some veracity to them doing it, and I hope they continue to do it, and they're going to get good work done this week against the Cardinals. And Hufanga talked about it, Chad, cleaning up the mistakes and having a better preseason week 2 performance. So I think you'll see a cleaner operation this week, Ralph, but we have to keep in mind it's still a meaningless game. It's exhibition. If the mistakes are made, that's what the time is now to get that done out of the way.
Ralph, dude, that's right, bro. We are your football priests. 3 days in a row, we're here to offer you the absolution and answers to your burning Broncos questions. David Youngkin, legendary, mythical Super Chat superstar, saying, question, what will this so-called writer say if Bo and the starters light it up in week 2 in a pointless game? Well, he made sure in his bold prediction to not reference anything that Bo did that night against the Niners. So he won't say anything, but I still get your point there, David.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bo Nix can come out and throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns against the Cardinals, and they would say it's preseason. He can come out and do the same against the Titans in week 1. They would say it's the Tennessee Titans. He can come out and do it against the Chiefs, and they would say it's because Mahomes had a bad game. David, they will always try to tear Bo Nix down, but we have to just let it roll off our shoulders. Let him hate.
Let him hate, bro. Thank you, David. Taylor, Zach, did you figure out the streaming issues? Yeah, we got her figured, brother. Thank you for being a member and a Super Chat superstar, Taylor. You're a legend, brother. Okay, let me pop that off the screen. There we go. Glenn, what's up, dude? From Oz checking in. Not long now until the real stuff kicks off. Gotta love the Bo Doubters, state of being, hashtag MHH for life. Amen, dude. Yeah, I mean, charge it to the game. By this point, we should all be utterly inoculated, Zach, to the Bo Nix hate and shade. But again, I think some of it, it's like I explained this as part of my explanation of why perhaps, not explanation, theory, wonderings. It's not me saying this is what it is, but there's been a lot of Bo Nix talk lately, a lot of hype. And we all believe that the hype is real and justified, but a lot of headlines and a lot of hype and hyperbole. So, there's some people, Zach, that are going to take exception to that just for no other reason than that they just want to be the devil's advocate. But if they happen to have any kind of burr under their saddle about Bo Nix or a take from before he was drafted or whatever, amplify that many times over.
I'll tell you what it is, and this is my opinion, being in the media for a decade now, Chad, these people will have they'll throw crap against the wall, and if it sticks, they'll make sure they tell you about it. So they'll put these Bo Nix predictions out there, and they'll go against the grain, and they'll be contrarian, if only because they'll be preying on Bo Nix's downfall, and for them to have some sort of confirmation bias that they were correct. It's a gotcha business, Chad. We know that all too well, and it's whoever's right has the platform. That's what Seth Walder wants. He's not going to get it, though.
Amen. Yeah, Ronk, Bo, Chapman, Nix since day one, and go Bo Broncos. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you contributing to the conversation. What's up, Clayton? Couple nights in a row, always cool. Give some shouts over here on Facebook to Thomas Bonilla. What's up, dude? Thanks for being in the chat with us tonight, Clayton. Smash the like button and share, guys. And yeah, as Mr. Producer dropped here in the chat, this is going to be the refrain on Bo Nix ad infinitum as he goes on to achieve a lot, put up big numbers, become a top 4, top 5 quarterback, as Sean Payton said he's going to be. You're going to hear that a lot. He's a product of Sean Payton's system. Eventually, that worm, if they achieve that, Zach, and stay at it and just a lot of years, eventually that worm will turn in the same way that, eventually they couldn't doubt Drew Brees anymore. Drew Brees just was the man, right? Like, there were a lot of doubters about Brees if you rewind it to 2006, that he was washed and that, his arm's never going to be the same because of that shoulder injury he suffered against the Broncos. And now this is it's not exactly apples to apples, but this is going to be the refrain you're going to hear the most because it's honestly hard to refute it, only in the sense that you can't disprove it. You know what I'm saying? You can say, hey, he's a product of Sean Payton's system. Well, no kidding, he is. Of course, that's obvious. We know that. Any player that succeeds in a system is producing within the strictures of a system. Thus, they are a product of the system. But that doesn't mean that it's attributable, Zach, only to the system.
But that wasn't what was said when Bo Nix was drafted. We all heard that Sean Payton was a product of Drew Brees, not the other way around. And then if the Broncos drafted Bo Nix, it wouldn't be Brees 2.0. He would fail with him. They shouldn't even try. He's a second-round prospect. And now they're saying he's just a product of Sean Payton's system. The goalpost will continue moving further and further away. And you're right. We can't allow it to affect us, but God, is it annoying.
Yeah, it's going to go quiet again when Bo has a good game against Arizona. I agree with that. Pro 16K.
No, they won't. They'll say it was preseason, so it doesn't matter. They'll always find a way to turn it and disparage Bo Nix.
You guys are getting some previews of the hot takes that hold water tomorrow for members on YouTube. Kelberman's Corner returns at noon Mountain, 2 p.m. Eastern, so be ready for that, y'all. It's going to be fun. 1984 Briggs says the defense was swarming to the ball. I truly feel like the O-line wasn't playing at full speed. We'll have to look at the production next week. Yeah, the offensive line, honestly, it just didn't look like some guys that were starters were really, we can call it cobwebs, we can call it the rust coming off in chunks and all that stuff. And there's truth to that. But it just seemed like, and I'm not going to name names, but it just seemed like some of the starters were kind of like, hey, yo, this is a preseason game. After all, like, let's not go out and get too crazy here. Even if it's just a subtle thing, even if it's just back, the back of brain type thing, not front of mind, but it just seemed like, Zach, they turned it down a little bit. And as far as an offensive line is concerned, if you're going to turn it down, you're going to see results of that. You're going to see Bo Nix getting pressured up the middle. Oh, wait a minute. We saw that. You're going to see interior designed runs get blown up where running backs are constantly bouncing it out. Although that was much more of a RJ Harvey phenomenon. By the time you got to the second and third team offensive lines, a couple of those Bidet and Watson runs, and even that one that got called back for Jalil, Zach, where he got it all the way down to the one, were nice inside the tackle runs where they bounced, they found the hole, they cut, they blasted through into the second and third level. Beautiful stuff.
One thing I noticed on the Bo Nix safety is that the Niners ran a stunt that kind of confused Bo and sent a free rusher at him. Again, speculation on my part, Chad. I don't know that the Broncos were planning for the Niners to throw pressure at him and some exotic looks. I thought they were expecting some vanilla defensive looks. And even if they got those, it was a poor day at the office for the O-line. That's what the preseason is for. And I have confidence they'll rectify that going forward.
Exactly. Now, it's one thing to say they probably weren't expecting that. However, you got to be, when you're on the field, when it's the gridiron, the lights are on, preseason or not, man, you got to recognize the signs, right? The pre-snap stuff. You still got to mind your P's and Q's. And so Bo Nix missed a few things on that, right? The pre-snap pressure, which is a cue to go hot, is if not hot, get rid of the ball quickly. Instead, he either missed it or thought he could outrun it. And when he realized he couldn't outrun it, he launched it and he just didn't get it past the line of scrimmage, which is why he got the flag and the safety. Pro 16 wants to know, pardon me, how long until the Broncos replace Ben Powers? Oh, let's see. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That many months is 7 months is. I don't think he sticks around beyond this year unless he turns in like a Quinn Miners caliber All-Pro campaign in 2025. He's not playing well enough to offset that contract. And when you don't play commensurate with your contract and the guaranteed money runs out, Zach, it's only a matter of time before you get shown the door. That's the way it works in the league.
Absolutely. I think the Broncos are hoping one of these younger backup linemen, either Palcho or Nick Gargulo, he takes over. They take over at a starting position, either for McGlinchey or Ben Powers, respectively. And I do think with a little more development, we saw how Wattenberg looked under Zach Strief and Sean Payton. Maybe Gargulo will be the next one to follow in that path.
Yeah, and by the way, he has currently the second highest cap hit on the team. So if you have the second highest cap hit on the team and the team can save $8 million on the salary cap next year by moving on from you, you better be like turning in a second best kind of, or dang close to it, Zach, performance on the team. Are we going to genuinely expect that from Ben Powers? No. So that's why this is kind of the last of his guaranteed money. I think he's gonzo next year. And right now, if I had to bet on it, and it's only off of one game and a couple of weeks of training camp, I would say that last year's 7th round pick, Nick Gargulo, I think that's how you say it, Gargillo. Maybe it's just Gargillo. I got to double check that. But he looks like he would be the early leader in the clubhouse for left guard. He was playing well.
He was playing well, and it's going to be a big step up to play against the first string and a better competition. But I like what I saw from him as a developmental prospect. And if anything, Chad, if Powers knows he's on the chopping block potentially, maybe he'll up his play and both sides will win out the season.
Possibly. Pardon me. As Glenn says here, Powers is a cap cut casualty win for us now. Yeah, we'll see. It's not going to happen right now, but it's going to happen after this season. Hey, what's going on, Albert? Great to see you. Hope you're doing well, big dog. Greg wants to know, what are the chances of seeing Dre Greenlaw in the preseason? It's just me, but I get bad vibes of injuries with him as I knock on wood. Yeah, dude. Well, we know he's returning to practice this week. Zach, do you expect to see him in any of these preseason games? I honestly don't.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't chance it, Greg. He's already had 2 injuries this offseason. You want to get him ready for the regular season. As much as we want to see him in the middle of the defense and getting that chemistry down, you got to keep him fresh for week 1.
Lorenzo, the bottom line, they didn't want to be out there after destroying the Niners on Thursday. Someone tell Robert Salah to stop blitzing. It's the preseason.
Exactly.
I know he was pretty amped, who knows? Maybe he was so excited, Zach, because it was his first actual game back as the returning defensive coordinator. That was the job that got him a head coaching gig, right, before the Jets. So I don't know. But again, hey, these are probably things they discussed on some level. At least I know they talked about it. Both Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan said that they discussed kind of the tone and the format and what before the joint practice. Now, maybe they didn't just lay it out like that for the preseason game because this is now competition. People are watching, the lights are on, fans are in the stands. But still, Salah, Zach, he was definitely excited. And every play that San Francisco would make, he's out there, I don't fault him.
He's a damn good coach too, Chad. We both have sung his praises as a defensive mind, and maybe you're right. Maybe there was something to it being back in San Francisco. The other guys get paid too, and they have a pretty good defense. I'm not too concerned.
No doubt. Ronk says the Broncos are going to play Saturday against the Cardinals. Yep, preseason game 2. That's going to be fun. What's Todd saying over here? I'll have to check on that here when Zach's talking. Ralph says, I'm stoked to see our depth. With no game plan, the only issue I had was the safety, talking about the Niners game. But it's better to have that in the preseason. We won't see that again because Bo is very smart. Takeaways from this game, our running back room looks very improved. It does, and what's most exciting about that too, Zach, is it's not just, oh my gosh, look at what R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins, we look so much more improved. Yeah, you got those guys looking good, Zach. Plus, the incumbents, at least 2 or 3 of the 4 incumbents, I'll say, looked really, really good. And it's just unfortunate that one run for Jaleel got called back, or else he would have had a pretty healthy yards per carry average. But because it got called back, he finished with a 1.7 yards per carry, which was lowest amongst the running backs. But it was kind of deceptive, that if Pat Bryant doesn't get caught on a pretty obvious hold, that would have been nice for his stat line.
I think the ceiling and the floor of the running back room is vastly improved, Ralph. So I'm excited to see what running back 1, 2, and 3 does this season in Sean Payton's offense. In terms of the safety, I wouldn't be too concerned. There's not much for Bo Nix to do in that situation. He had a free rusher coming at him in his end zone. Better to take the 2 and kick it away than risk 6 points. So it sucks, but it is what it is.
We got brother Brent in Christ jumping in to say, I've been a Broncos fan since 1983. I've heard everything and anything said, even when Terry Bradshaw said John Elway would never win a Super Bowl in a Broncos uniform. What he actually said was, you could criticize. We're just covering that on Saturday. The Broncos Book Club members, the members on YouTube know when we were covering this on episode 2 on Saturday, what he actually said was complaining about, him trying to force his way where he went in the NFL, refusing to go to Baltimore, wanting to play on the West Coast, yada, yada, yada. Bradshaw said, in my opinion, he's not the kind of guy you can win a championship with. So that's what he actually said. But that stuck, obviously, in John Elway's craw. Imagine the triumph. Yeah, he had a lot more and bigger and justified reasons for being excited to win that first one than Super Bowl 32. But, somewhere along the way, he's thinking, up yours, Terry. Up yours, buddy. Yeah. Lombardi. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, all the more reason, Brent, to not take anything these experts say seriously and to keep the receipts as I do on Twitter, and we'll point and laugh at them when they're inevitably proven wrong.
Sam, can't wait for Bo to prove ESPN and Nick wrong. Well, I'll just say wrong. I love it, dude. I love the fire, my brother. Sam Bam with another super chat, though, says, I don't like it that YouTube isn't using the usernames. It makes no sense. Oh, well. Sam Bam forever. Go Broncos. Yeah, but just remember, we talked about this last night. This is a very new phenomenon. This has been the last 2 or 3 streams only that they've decided to do it. I don't know why, what changed. It could have something to do with how YouTube and StreamYard are communicating, because that's just what it's displaying on StreamYard. Is it displaying like that in your chat on YouTube? That's what I want to know. Are you seeing it the same way within YouTube? I'm curious, but oh well, yeah, dude. Sam Bam forever, legendary moniker.
Yeah, we've been inundated with issues between StreamYard, and we had something with the content management system that Chad and I use, and I had computer issues, and there's YouTube issues, but we have to keep rolling through it. Sam, we definitely appreciate the generosity. We all know who you are. You're a legend around these parts.
No doubt. Let's grab this from where'd it go? I just had right here. Albert Knopper says Clay Webb needs some growing, but he could replace Powers. Yeah, he would definitely be, when training camp started, when we would get questions about Powers, he'd be one of the possible candidates, but he didn't look good in preseason game 1. I would advise going and reading the Eric Trickle grades from preseason 1, in which Clay Webb does get a mention. So for a little context on his performance, but right now I would say it's Gargiulo.
I think Webb is going to push Wattenberg potentially for the center competition or center spot if Wattenberg kind of has a regression in year 2. But regardless, Chad, you cannot have too many young interior offensive linemen that you could potentially build around and position as future starters.
George Fox, what's up, dude? Great pod, guys. I'm so glad to see real football. Broncos for life, MHH for life. Hit the thumbs up. As are we, my friend. It feels really good. Leroy, what's going on, brother? He says, what's up, Priest? Working overtime today and found the time to listen to you guys. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you. The fans in ESPN need to get off the gas pedal on Bo Nix. Bo's fine. Just need to knock the rust off and take it to him the next game and through the course of the season. Guys, it was 3 exactly, Leroy. I'll reiterate to those still kind of wringing their hands a little bit and chewing off their fingernails. It was 3 possessions in a preseason game in what was the first action of the season. Going to be okay.
And Nix took no sacks. He had no fumbles. He had no picks. The Broncos won by 3 touchdowns. And Chad, anyone who's frequented a message board back in the day or current times, there's an old expression, don't feed the trolls. And that's what we should do with ESPN. And I have, my personal problem is taking the bait, but let them hate. Let them hate, and we'll continue to just clown on them, Chad, when they're proven wrong.
Mike, a great member, jumping in to say, Bo did the running backwards thing multiple times last season, talking about the safety. I hope this is the last time we see it. Yeah, I would hope so too, but it won't be. He's so athletic. There are going to be times that he'll do it and succeed, and it'll be a highlight, and everybody will be like, whoa. And once or twice, it'll bite him in the rear end. It's going to happen a little bit more. He's still young, guys. I mean, he's still a young quarterback. He's going to do dumb things once in a while. Sometimes he'll get away with it. Every once in a while, he won't.
It's just hard for me to fault him. Maybe I have to watch the play over again, Chad. When there's a free rusher, he's backed up in his end zone. I mean, there's not much more he can do than run away and try to get it back to the line of scrimmage. He said he failed at that. He'll be better, but it's a tough situation, that particular instance.
WWPD. What would Peyton do? And by that, I mean Peyton Manning, not Sean Payton. First of all, he would have recognized the pressure. Second of all, even if he didn't, as soon as he knew he was whooped, he's throwing that thing away. He's not running around. Now, this is Peyton Manning. The Peyton Manning we knew in Denver was 4 surgeries into a 14-year NFL career by the time he even landed in Denver. So that kind of informed a lot of how he made his business decisions. But nevertheless, Amy, what's up? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. And yes, thank you, Dylan, for mentioning this, guys. If you're annoyed at seeing your @ handle and you don't like the @ handle on YouTube and what YouTube has assigned you, because if you haven't chosen a handle, then it assigns you one. You can go to your profile on YouTube and change it. You can choose what your handle is, so long as it's not another person's handle already existing. So pretty easy. You just go to your profile and click into your settings, and you can change that. So FYI. What's up, Nick Hale? How is you, buddy? How is the high five hero? Says, how do you think the running back situation will play out? I think we have some talent and some dogs now in the running back room. So by that, I think what he's saying, Zach, is who the Sam Hill's making this roster.
Everyone but Audric Estime, I could see. I mean, I don't say that as a cop-out, Nick. Obviously, Dobbins and Harvey are locks. I think at this point, Bidet is nearing to be a lock with how Sean Payton's talked about him. Blake Watson looked really good. McLaughlin had the trust of Payton last season. Just seems to me, if there's one guy that's the odd man out, it's Audric Estime.
It's the way it's looking, but I'm excited about Bidet. I'm excited about Watson. McLaughlin's a lock. He was always going to be a lock, but I want to see it at least one more time from Bidet and from Watson before I get too excited about those guys. But right now, I got to tell you, it seems like Sean Payton, based on how they're playing and what Sean Payton is saying, it's looking like it's Dobbins, Harvey, McLaughlin, Bidet. And they'll try and sneak Watson onto the practice squad and maybe elevate him a few times. 1984 Briggs, super chat. Thank you, bro. Broncos for life. I truly feel like the Broncos will take the division. Hey, Zach, he's not alone in that. You had an article, I think it was USA Today, predicting that not too long ago, right?
Yep. It was last week. The USA Today predicted the Broncos would finish 12-5. and overtake Kansas City for the AFC West, the 3 seed in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. And there's no reason, even with the 21-point victory and how bad they looked in that game last week, there's no reason why Briggs, if they play at the top of their game in the regular season, they can't push KC for superiority.
Mike's saying that Nick Wright said that Jokic was the worst MVP since some dude in the 70s. Clearly a Denver hater.
He's a Chiefs fan. I mean, it's not that surprising.
That is redonkulous, by the way. What a stud the Joker is. Duchess jumping in again. She's just the best. Caleb. We love her. Yeah, she's royalty around these parts. Y'all know this. She says, I'm optimistic about Bo, even if he doesn't pay off. Won't happen. He will rise and repeat. Right, Zach? You think I got the syntax right?
Rinse and repeat.
Okay, rinse and repeat. No more secondhand retreads. In other words, no more, Russells. No more Case Keenum's, Mile High Joe Flacco. Who am I missing? Teddy Bridgewater. Not like quarterbacks. Don't have a sluggish game. MHH rocks. You rock. Yeah, guys, don't worry so much about that. I mean, look, everybody, I'm seeing some people, this is a minority take, but going, man, steady, 14 of 15, 133 yards, a touchdown, led the team in rushing. Man, it's looking like he might be. Bo's got someone eating, right hot on his heels. It wouldn't surprise if maybe Stiddy. No, guys. What were you saying about Stidham when his debut last season, when he got his one preseason start in the competition, was almost exactly the same? 3 possessions, a field goal, see you later. It was forgettable for the most part. So, guys, this is a long-winded way of saying don't read into how the first teamers play in the preseason, guys. And even if Bo Nix and company, Zach, had come on the field and just gone off, set the world on fire, of course we'd be excited about it, but we'd still be saying, guys, come on now, it's the preseason. It's encouraging, exciting, but let's not get too far out over our skis. The same applies when it's on the other side of the coin.
Exactly. That's a great point. I don't know when we all started collectively putting any sort of emphasis or value into preseason. It's literally a meaningless period. It's no better than a glorified practice. And we're talking about practice. If Bo Nix looks like Nathan Peterman in any game, wake me up. If Bo Nix looks like that in week 1 against Tennessee, then we'll talk. But for a 21-point Broncos win when Bo Nix didn't turn the ball over, I can't nitpick that in the preseason, Chad.
I mean, Rodney says Bo had happy feet at times. Yeah, not the whole time, but he was also, if you look at the replay or the film, if you have the all 22 on NFL Plus, the happy feet was always directly correlated to interior pressure early. So was it happy feet or a guy just trying to get off the spot, right, when you got pressure in his face? But I do agree that Zach, and I said this in the gut reaction, I said this last night as well in the aftermath, that he did not look like the usual cool, calm, collected. He looked a little tight. I don't know what explains that, if it's just the rust, if it's all the talk. I don't know, but I'm still not worried about it.
Every quarterback gets happy feet when they're pressured. This is something we talked about in the Russell Wilson era, Chad. It's hard for him to succeed when he has a defender right in his face after the snap. I'm not exonerating Bo Nix. He has to clean that up, but it's better to have it now in the preseason than take it into week 1 against Tennessee.
All right. Omar. Now, this is what I don't like about this. I can't be sure if Omar is someone we know well or if it's a new handle. Either way, Omar, dude, bro, love you. Thank you so much. So generous coming in off the top rope, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you, big dog. Says, hey, gents, looking forward to the season. I think we can go for the division. National media resents the Denver Broncos. Looking forward to forcing people to have to talk about us.
Love it.
Go Broncos. I like that. Forcing into the conversation, Zach. Or like Mike Shanahan said on Friday, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Omar, thank you so much for your amazing generosity. That's incredible. We look forward to conversing with you going forward this season. And you're right. If the Broncos are as good as we think they're going to be, some of the national media chat, even the haters, will be forced to eat some crow, maybe with tears coming down their face, with spit coming out of their mouth. But they're going to be forced to eat it and recognize and acknowledge that the Broncos are good now. The others, the Seth Walders of the world who have their takes built in no matter what, that's their own problem.
Thank you again. That's so generous of you. Much love and respect. Appreciate you. And if you are someone we know, tell us what your name is normally, not your handle, so that we can, if not, and you're brand new, welcome. Thank you so much, Omar. Appreciate you. Mike jumping in to say, gonna have to add Michaela to the show's name soon. Well, what do you think MHH stands for? Ha! Michaela Huddle podcast, or Michaela
Hi Huddle.
Hi Huddle. There we go. Long day, y'all. Yes, I work with words and letters for a living. Yeah, but no, she's, like I said, she's got her own fans. She probably doesn't realize that. Hopefully tonight she's realizing it a little bit, but this fan that I ran into today was telling me that how I mean, not just Michaela, but just other names and people like the super chat superstars and the bona fide community mavens, of which you're one of those, Mike, obviously, that it's really cool because it feels like he knows these people in the same way, almost, he said, that in the way he feels like he knows Zach and I. So that's really cool to hear, man. I think that's cool. And I think that just goes to show that, we put the spotlight on the chat and on the community as much as we try to put it on ourselves, so to speak. Like, that's what makes these podcasts fun. Like when Zach and I were doing them as just getting together twice a week, recording an hour of us talking and splitting it into 2 episodes, uploading it to a cloud, pardon me, and calling it good. That was still fun. But Zach holds a candle, can't even barely hold a candle to this actual conversation in the community and the stuff. I mean, it's not even comparable, man. So I'm stoked that we decided to start doing 1 live show per week. And then as soon as we did it one time, we realized we got to do every show like this. And that was 6 years ago.
It's funny when you were talking about how we used to record them only and split them up. I'm thinking, I don't remember doing that, Chad. I don't even fathom living a life like that. And it's been so amazing having the live podcast, interacting with you guys. And Mike, it's not that far-fetched. At this point, it's the Mile Huddle podcast brought to you by Michaela Parker.
Exactly. And all of you guys, seriously, thank you so much. People want to know, well, here she is again. Preseason is to trim the roster and for the desperate football-starved fans, nothing more. Exactly. And I'm one of them. But I mean, I watched the game live, of course. We did the gut reaction. And then yesterday, Zach, while I was working all day, putting up articles and video clips and doing the thing, I had the game on repeat in my office TV, just watching it because I'm starving for football, especially Broncos football. So it feels good. So let's, as Michaela is suggesting here, let's keep it in its proper context, what the preseason is about.
It's also about making mistakes. This is the time. That's what practice is for. Practice makes perfect. And preseason is an extension of practice. So you want them to look kind of crappy now. You want them to look tighter now and not playing loose and firing on all cylinders. You don't want them to peak too early, Michaela. You want them to peak later in the year. And I think we'll see just that. Thank you again for your generosity.
All right, guys, we got a couple messages for you before we dip on out of here. We got to keep it a little bit shorter tonight, but we will take one last look at the chat, so don't go anywhere quite yet.
Tremendous episode, as always, of the Mile Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com. get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at facebook.com/mile-high-huddle-pod. You can find us on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your Football Priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
That's right. Shouts to Pearl. Shouts to Roger. And as Dylan's pointing out, he was at the game at Levi Stadium. Plenty of loud Broncos fans in Santa Clara. They made some noise for show. And he's reminding everybody, share it out there. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. A mile high salute and a special shout out to the awesome Super Chat superstars, supporters, and members helping us keep the lights on. Of course, the Duchess, Michaela Parker, we love you. The Papa Bear, David McElrath, Sam Bam. Sam, it's always going to be Sam Bam. You know this anyway, Sam. The Ronk, love you, bro. Gene, love you, bro. David Youngkin, he's probably already out of here. He's in it like the first half, and then he has to go. So when you hear this, love you, big dog. Taylor, much love, bro. Ralph and the whole Brace Girdle clan, much love and respect. George Fox. Briggs jumping in, to my knowledge, first time super chat, but then again, it might be someone we know. That's just a handle we don't recognize. And Omar coming in off the top rope for the very first time. Much love and respect to you, big dog. Thank you again. Mike Thompson, legend. Love you guys. Zach and I are now going to take a breather on the podcast, but only until Thursday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, though, you get some Kelberman's Corner at noon Mountain, 2 p.m. Pacific, if you are a member on YouTube. Then you got some Building the Broncos, though. Tomorrow night is the regular programming, as it were. Mile High Insiders Wednesday night, and then Zach and I are back Thursday, so it's going to be a gas.
Anyone who's joining me for KK tomorrow, I'll be making the case why you should not panic over the Broncos Week 1 preseason victory. We'll see it tomorrow, and we'll see it Thursday night. Have a great start to your week. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.